Hi guys, it's Thomas Moran here, and today's video is this the best bet of 2025? If you like these videos guys, please like, subscribe, hit that bell notification. I'm a professional gambler and I've been searching the whole Cheltenham field, every single race, and this is certainly my best Cheltenham Festival tip for 2025. Is it the best bet of 2025? Well, we'll find out. We're going to go through the race, go through the cards, and go from there. So after going through every single race of the festival, it was a bit of a difficult one because I found every time I was looking through each individual race, there was always a problem with one or two of the horses, and especially some of the odds on shots that many people were saying were bankers. I could pull holes in, and I just thought if I want to do my Cheltenham banker of the whole festival, it has to be near flawless. And we're going to look at the Gold Cup, guys, and it'll be no surprise to most of you. This race feels to me like it's going to completely fall apart. It sort of already has, but yet you cannot fault, in my opinion, you cannot fault the Willie Mullins' brilliant Galopin de Champs. Already, Galopin de Champs has won this race twice, so already, you know, this is 3 miles, 2 furlongs, and last year it was in heavy conditions and still absolutely smashed the field to bits. And this year it's a weaker renewal in my opinion, and I just cannot see how Galopin de Champs will struggle round here. All the preps being good, and it looks like an absolute banker in my eyes. One thing I will say, guys, is it's non-runner no bet with a lot of these firms. As you can see here on Betfair, it is 4 to 6, and I wouldn't take that. I would just, if I was to do it, I'd be looking at the 1 to 2 non-runner no bet and be looking at that. So I thought I'd just run you through the form of Galopin de Champs and just describe to you why I think it is such a good bet in my eyes. Rated 177, 9-year-old, so ticks all the boxes. Like I say, last year beat Jerry Colomb by 3.5 lengths in heavy ground. Year before beat Brave Man's Game by 7 lengths, destroyed the field. And even this year, yes, it came third to Factor File, but that was over 19.5 furlongs at Punchestown. But then at Leopardstown, won the race it always seems to win by 7.5 lengths, beat Factor File 7.5 lengths, then beat Grangeclare West by 4 3/4 lengths. Great prep going into this race. Obviously, Paul Townend, Willie Mullins, top trainer, top jockey. The jumping maybe last year wasn't perfect. It still fiddled its way over a few and won convincingly, and I still think there's potentially more. So of the rest, we've obviously got to look at the other runners in the field. Ahoy Senor, the first alphabetical runner, not the first price in this race, but at one stage, you know, potentially, you know, last year I would have said going into this year might have a bit of a chance in the Gold Cup potentially, but it's gone completely backwards. Pulled up the last twice, and I mean, if it runs, if Lucinda Russell runs it, fair play, but I'd be very surprised if it managed to get even in the top sort of 4. And this is not going to be probably a race that's going to pay any more than 3 runners. It might even cut up to even less than that, so not for me. Banbridge, shortest on the betting, around 7 to 1 each way. I just don't think they'll run it here. Ran well last time, hasn't put any huge speed ratings up. You know, it will want good ground, so even if Joseph O'Brien wants to run it here, which is fair enough, I think come the day, if it's sort of soft ground, I think they might not even run it anyway. So there's a lot of unlikely. I think it'll probably go to the Ryanair, but I just think this extra 2 furlongs is not going to play to Banbridge's favour. And like I say, even if that was the case, then I think we're looking at another 2. So you've got to look at that 2 furlongs, but even the ground, I think none of it's really gonna work out for Banbridge. So if it runs, it runs. I wouldn't be too worried, but if it doesn't, which I expect it won't, I think that's another non-runner on this list. Conflated, yeah, I mean, I'm just looking at it now, looking at the form. It's gone massively backwards, hasn't been within 28 lengths of a winner all season. It looks like it's going completely backwards, and if it runs, yeah, not a worry for me. Corbetts Cross, I've heard a couple of people say potentially each way if this does turn into a bad each way race. there's potential there for a place. It's hard in these races when you really fancy the favourite. I love bad odds on races, as you would probably have seen in previous videos on my channel, but the trouble is with this, sometimes I like to bet, say 4 to 1, 5 to 1, knowing I might actually have a chance to win. If I looked at this race, barring a fall for or some real problems, injury problems for Gala, I wouldn't feel that excited about backing something around sort of 12, 14 to 1 like Corbetts Cross, knowing that it's probably not going to win. And the each way part, 12 to 1, you're getting 12 to 5 minus your win bet. It's not that exciting a proposition for me. But my main reason why I'm not a big fan of Corbetts Cross is the jumping. You know, you'll need to jump well going this speed round Cheltenham for me. So the dodgy jumps that keep popping up, I'm not interested in. And if I want an each way player, if I'm honest around that number, I want one that's really going to cruise into second or third. You know, I don't mind betting them at 40 to 1, 50 to 1 if there's, you know, dodgy jumping and the odds signify that. But I think here, Corbetts Cross, not for me. Factor File, not. It's again another horse I think is unlikely to go here for Willie Mullins. Would he chuck another dart at it? He could, but it's been beaten by Galopin to Champs the last 2 times by 7.5 lengths and 4.5, 4 3/4 lengths. You could run it here. I mean, but for me, I don't think it runs here. Again, another cross off the list for that. Gentleman's Game, another horse that looks. It pulled up last year in the Gold Cup. Didn't look. I remember a few people getting excited about it as an outsider. One of my friends had a few quid on it each way. I didn't fancy it last year, and there's nothing to show me that this year is going to be any different. Galopin walloped it by 12.5 lengths at Leopardstown. It hasn't done anything after that. 50 to 1 is probably a fair price, but you know, not for me. Grangeclare West, well, talked about it earlier. Galopin beat it by 4.5 lengths. It might run here, and you know, it might be one of those that, you know, one of the better each way shots, but I think it's not, again, not something I would be worried about. Hasn't run a speed rating of note. Grey Dawning, I know that Dan Skelton hopefully going to get a few winners for himself this week, but he did say, he has said a couple of times that it's very, very unlikely it runs here in the Gold Cup. They have still got the entry into the Gold Cup, but even he said, barring a big accident happening to what I believe he means, if they pull out Galopin to Champs, he isn't going to ride it, isn't going to run it here. So no need to really go through that form. Even on the bookies odds, you can see here that a few aren't pricing it up, which is normally a sign that they're probably not going to race it. So it's another one to tick off the list. Hewick, I was watching the Boyle Sports preview night, and Shark said, I ain't running here. He's connected with it. He said they're not running it here, and I think it's got an entry to the National, so, and it's 300 to 1 on Betfair, so it's incredibly unlikely it's going to run here. So it's another one off the list. So again, like I've said before, I think this is cut up badly, this race, and could end up maybe 8 runners, maybe less. And then again, Galopin de Champs going to have an easier time than potentially the last 2 years. Jungle Boogie, potential each way. Again, it's not, you know, it ran last year in the Gold Cup. It was 16 to 1 last year, so it's going to be much bigger than that this year, probably double the price this year. It only had 1 race. Ascot won by 8 lengths, got beaten 20 lengths last year. I wouldn't be, you know, it could be one each way, but there would be no worry in my camp for the win part of it, which is what this bet, the best bet of the Cheltenham Festival, is going to be. On Presse, very good horse, but again, it's got a national entry, 15th lengths 4th last year in the Gold Cup. Could run well. It's done okay this year, but nothing. It's won at Cheltenham, but pulled up last start. Again, it's going to be one of the shorter price runners in the field, but again, nothing to show me potential. The one I would say that if I was to do it, it needs to be probably a bit of a bigger price for me, and if I'm honest, I'd hope he wouldn't chase, he wouldn't go flying out to take on to get a win here, is Monty's Star for Henry de Bromhead. I think he's coming back into form. Ran 7 3/4 lengths behind Galopin de Champs, Leopardstown last time out. Hasn't won at Cheltenham before, I don't believe, and hasn't really shown me anything ridiculous. But I do think on Monty says rated 161 there at the sectionals of them. But again, I'm only just saying, you know, an extra 2 furlongs probably won't be too bad for this horse. But for me, it's just you'd be playing each way again and hoping for a miracle for the win. But you know, you're playing each way and you're going to get a little bit of profit. But for me, again, it's not something at this moment in time, depending on who runs in the race, will happen. Royal Pagale, 66 to 1, I believe it is. Its last 2 runs have pulled up and then beaten by 38 lengths. Ran at Cheltenham before in 2024 in the January, fell, and its run before in the Gold Cup coming 6th, 24 lengths. There's no, you know, 66 to 1. There's nothing there that worries me. And the real whacker, it ran in the Gold Cup last year and pulled up. It's not really shown too much this year that it's to worry. It's going to be a big price, 50 to 1 it says here. Again, another runner that you just can't even really give an each way play to, knowing that. So what do you think, guys? Is 1 to 2 an absolute great bet, or is it another one that potentially could get beaten? You know that, you know, if Banbridge turns up, it's good ground. Could Banbridge go in? For me, it's a no, but you just don't know with these situations. I think a lot of these aren't going to run. So come the actual day, come the Friday at 4 o'clock, I think it might be Galopan against Monty Star, Corbetts Cross, and a few of these others. You might have 8 runners. It could be an incredibly good, bad each way race if you fancied something else. And if I'm honest, the only one I could look for each way potentially, I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it right now. If it drifted, maybe. But you're not going to get probably 12, 14 to 1 on the day anyway if Banbridge and Fact of File don't run. Is Monty Star, like I said, Corbetts Cross, the jumping for me. I don't like doing bad each way races like that and just trying to steal money at 16 to 1, 14 to 1. When you're jumping like that, it's a long way, lots of fences, not for me. Hope you're good, guys. If you like these videos, please like, subscribe, hit that bell notification. Please tell me if you think this is a good thing for the Cheltenham Festival, or if there's something else you really fancy. What's your banker for the festival, and who you would do potentially each way in this race. Hope you're good, guys, and take care.